Hey, it's Miss Raymond here, and today we are going to learn about how to find the area of a circle. All right, so as you can see on the screen, we have the formula for the area of a circle. Area equals pi times r squared, where r is the radius. I'm sure you'll remember from before when we talked about the parts of the circle and we talked about radius and diameter, and we found circumference. So hopefully this won't be too difficult. Okay, so we're going to watch a short video about finding the area of a circle. All right.
Imagine that we divide a circle into 36 equal parts. Notice that each portion of the circle almost resembles an isosceles triangle, the height of which is equal to the radius of the circle. We can now arrange the triangles like this. We cut the last triangle into 2 equal portions and place it in this way and form a rectangle. The length of this rectangle is equal to half the circumference of the circle, while its breadth is equal to the radius of the circle. You already know that the circumference of a circle is pi times diameter. So we can say that half the circumference is pi times radius. You know we need to multiply the length and breadth of a rectangle to find its area. So in order to find the area of this rectangle, we need to multiply the length and breadth, which could be written as pi r squared. Thus, to find the area of a circle, we use the formula pi r squared. Let us find the area of a circle whose radius is 14 centimeters. Area is equal to pi r squared. 22 over 7 times 14 times 14 is equal to 616. Hence, the area of the circle is 616 square centimeters.
Okay, so to review, the formula for the area of a circle is the product of pi and the square of the circle's radius r. So area A equals pi times r squared. All right. All right, so let's practice. All right, so if you have a calculator handy, that would be really good to go ahead and get that, to pause the video and get a calculator, whether it's on a phone or a tablet or a handheld calculator. That would be very helpful to have since we are dealing with multiplying decimals. All right, so we are going to find the area of this circle to the nearest tenth, and we're going to use 3.14 for pi. And if we look at our circle, we can see that we have our radius, right? It's telling us a radius, which is 7 centimeters, excuse me. So that is our radius, okay? So we have to remember what our formula is, which we said was A equals pi times r squared, right? So that's the formula that you need to use. Okay, so we already know that pi, we're going to use 3.14 for pi. So we're going to substitute 3.14, and then we're going to multiply that times r squared. Now r is a radius, so in this case it's 7. So 7 squared, so we have to remember back to when we did exponents. So 7 squared, remember, is the same thing as saying 7 times 7, right? Multiplying 7 2 times, right? So 7 times 7 should give you 49, right? And then you're just going to multiply 3.14, right, times 49. Right, that's supposed to be 9. All right, so go ahead if you have a calculator and go ahead and multiply 3.14 times 49, and we'll see what we get. And then we're going to check our answer on the next screen. Okay. All right, so we're going to check. So as you can see, substituted pi 3.14 times 7 squared, and it reminds you that you're evaluating the power. So 7 squared, as we talked about, is the same thing as saying 7 times 7, right? So 7 times 7, which gives you 49, which is what we got. And then we're going to multiply 3.14 times 49, which gives you 153.86. And remember that this is approximately, just like with circumference, right? Remember those wavy lines means approximately, because it's not equal. So the area of the circle is about or approximately 153.9 centimeters squared. Now, it reminds you, here's a good reminder here at the bottom, that order of operations calls for evaluating exponents before multiplying. So you remember back to, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So exponents, okay, which is what 7 squared is, you always have to evaluate that before you multiply times 3.14. All right. Okay, so here is another practice. Let's practice another problem. Find the area of the circle to the nearest tenth. Use 3.14 for pi, and you can see that your radius is 10 centimeters. So again, I'm going to go ahead and I'll write the formula up here. So area equals pi, right, times r squared. Okay, so that's the formula you're going to want to use. Okay, and remember, it reminds us that we're going to use 3.14 for pi. Okay, so again, you're going to substitute, right, pi with 3.14, and then you're multiplying it times the radius squared. So our radius is what? 10, right? So 10 and it's squared, right? So you need to make sure that you evaluate this exponent first, right, according to our order of operations. And remember, 10 squared is the same thing as saying 10 times 10, right? Sorry about my messy handwriting. The pen is a little hard to use. So 10 times 10 should give you what? 100, right? So 100, and then you're going to be multiplying that times 3.14, right? All right, so go ahead and use your calculator to calculate that. I'm going to give you a minute to do that. All right, and see what you get. And then we're going to check ourselves on the next page. So I got 314, so approximately, excuse me, I should be squiggly lines, 314 centimeters squared. So we're going to go ahead and check on the next screen to see if that's what you got. All right, so I'm going to clear. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next screen. All right, so find the area of the circle. Here's our answer. Let's double check. So area A equals pi r squared. That's your formula. So use your formula. Then you're going to substitute 10 for r for radius, right? And you can see they tell you to evaluate your power, right? So 10 squared, which is 10 times 10, gives you 100. And 3.14 times 100 gives you approximately 314. Right? So the area of the circle is about 314 centimeters squared. All right. All right, so here's another example. So when you're finding the area of the circle, you may not know the radius and you may instead have the diameter of the circle. You might know the diameter instead, but you can still figure out what the area is, right? Because we know, right, the area equals pi r squared. But we also know from previous lessons, right, that you can find out what the diameter is if you know the radius, right? So this is just kind of a reminder. You must find the radius before you can find the area, okay? So if we're finding the area of a circle with a diameter of 10 meters, then what do we need to do? So we need to find the radius first by dividing the diameter by 2, right? Because remember, the radius times 2 gives you your diameter. So if our radius, if our diameter was 10 meters, right, then the radius would be equal to the diameter divided by 2. So 10 divided by 2, which gives us 5 meters. So now we have our radius, right? Radius equals 5 meters. Then now we can go on and continue to solve our problem. Okay? All right, so let me go ahead and go to the next slide. So now that you have found the radius of the circle, which we found is 5, we can find the area again, right? So area equals pi times r times squared. So again, we substitute pi with 3.14. The radius was 5, so 5 squared, right? Remember, you're going to evaluate your exponent first. So your 5 squared, which is 5 times 5, right, which gives you 25. And then multiply 3.14 times 25. And that will give you approximately 78.5 meters squared. All right. Let's practice. Since now we have our diameter instead of our radius. Okay, so we have the diameter is 12 feet, and we need to find the area of the circle to the nearest tenth. Okay? So hopefully you remember what the first step is, right? So in order to find, get my pen here again. So in order to find out what the radius is, we're going to take our diameter, right? So diameter, and we're going to divide by 2, right, to get our radius. So our diameter is 12, right? So 12 divided by 2, right, should give us 6, right? So now we know that our radius is 6. So now that we know that, we can move on and use our area formula, right, to solve. So I'm going to write the formula here again. So area equals pi times r squared. Okay, remember, here's your radius. So I want you to go ahead and give this one a try. All right, remember, you substitute 3.14 for pi, and then you're going to solve for r squared, right? So r squared, remember, here's your radius. I'm going to let you give it a try and see if you remember what to do, and then we're going to check on the next screen. Okay? All right, I'm going to give you a little more time to figure out the problem, then we're going to see what our answer is, okay? All right, so here is our answer. Find the area of the circle to the nearest tenth. Use 3.14 for pi, and we went ahead and figured out that we had to divide our diameter here, 12 by 2, so that's where the 6 came from, remember? So use your formula. So here's your formula. Substitute 6 for r, right? And then evaluate the power. So remember 6, whoops, sorry, 6 squared, which should have given you 36, because remember 6 squared is 6 times 6, and then 3.14 times 36 gives you 113.04 approximately. So the area of the circle is about 113.04 feet squared, or they rounded down to the nearest tenth to 113 feet squared. Okay. All right. Here's some more practice. Again, you're finding the area of the circle to the nearest tenth using 3.14 for pi, and you have been given the diameter, right? So remember, this is the diameter, and you need to figure out the radius, right? So hopefully remember, we need to take the diameter and divide it by what? 2, right? That will give you your radius, right? And then you're going to use your formula, area equals pi, right, times r squared. All right, so I'm going to allow you to work out that problem, and then we're going to check it here in just a minute. Okay. All right, I'll give you a little bit more time, and then we're going to check our answer. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clear this, and all right, so check our answer. All right, so again, you start with your formula. Use your formula. A equals pi r squared. So area equals pi times the radius squared. And we had to, right, we had to take our diameter, right, and divide it by 2 to get our radius, remember? So diameter divided by 2, in this case it was 18 divided by 2, right, which should give you 9. Sorry about my sloppy handwriting. So the radius is 9. Okay, that's how they got that. All right, and then you substitute 9 for r for radius, so 9 squared. You evaluate the power. So 9 squared is 9 times 9, remember, and that gives you 81. And then you multiply 3.14 times 81, and that gives you approximately 254.34. So the area of the circle is approximately 254.3 feet squared. All right, so that is all I have for today. I hope that you have learned about how to find the area of a circle, and you should have received in the mail some work for you, some worksheets for you to practice the same skill. And you can also go on IXL.com and practice finding the area of the circle as well. So stay healthy, and I'll talk to you later.